Welcome into this episode of the Huddle Up podcast. As always, I am your host, Taylor Sharp. And on this podcast, we talk all things related to the NFL and the NFL draft just a little more than 2 weeks away. And we're here to break it all down for you today. I want to talk about a guy who I think could be the steal of the entire first round of the NFL draft. He's a guy that might not even go in the first round. I, however, think he should be a first round lock. Of course, I am talking about South Carolina safety Nick Emmanwori. Look, no question he has the size. He's almost 6'4". He's 220 pounds. But let me tell you guys just how impressive his combine was. So, Emmanwori had a 43-inch vertical jump, broad jumped 11 feet 6 inches. Both of those were the best among defensive backs this year, and that's defensive back, corner or safety. Oh, and he also ran a 4.38 in the 40-yard dash at 6'4", 220 pounds. He is the only safety in combine history to hit all of those benchmarks, meaning under 4.4 in the 40, 43 inches or more in the vertical, and over 11 feet in the broad jump. That essentially makes him the most athletic and physically gifted safety to ever come into the NFL draft since in the combine era. He's 6'4", he's 220, but like a lot of times you do see a guy, he's a workout warrior, right? They call it the underwear Olympics at times at the NFL Combine. I'm a person that doesn't really like the NFL Combine. I don't think that tells the whole story a lot of times on some of these guys. But y'all, he's got the numbers in college to back it up too. In 3 years at South Carolina as a full-time starter, 244 tackles, 6 interceptions, including 4 last year. 2 of those 4 returned for touchdowns. So he's got the production in college, and he's got the combine numbers. 6'4", 220, 4.38 in the 40-yard dash, 43-inch vertical jump, 11.5 feet in the standing broad jump. And let's not forget, not only does he have the numbers in college, he plays in the SEC. He's played against top-flight, top-tier competition week in and week out. I'm from Baton Rouge. I myself am an LSU fan. I saw him in the fall. He gave LSU offense hell. I mean, he did a really good job in that game, and he came up with big play after big play on that defense. He's a guy that I love in this NFL draft. A lot of people are talking about Malachi Starks out of Georgia. Look, I like Malachi Starks, and I am one of those people that believes good coaching can make a lot of things happen. I think a defensive player that plays under Kirby Smart, there's a lot to be said about a guy like that. But you look at Malachi Starks, 3-year starter at Georgia, just like Nick Emmanwori was at South Carolina. 197 tackles, 6 interceptions in his 3 years at Georgia. So same number of interceptions, about 40 less tackles than Emmanwori over 3 years. But the thing about him is he's about 6'1". He's hovering around 200 pounds. You have the same player in the same conference that's just as productive. Emmanwori might actually be a little bit more productive. He's 6'4". He's 220 pounds. I'm drafting that guy all day long because even if, let's say he can't cover in the NFL, I think he can. But at 6'4", 220, you're telling me that guy can't play box safety? You're telling me that guy can't gain 10 pounds and play linebacker for you? There is a spot for Nick Emmanwori on any defense in the NFL. I think this guy could be the steal of the first round. If he goes in the first round, I mean, you go look at some of the mock drafts out, the latest ones, Emmanwori's going anywhere from 13 all the way down to like 23. 13 to the Dolphins all the way to 23 with the Green Bay Packers. I can't figure out why. I think this guy is a really, really good football player. He was smart on the field. He didn't see a bunch of mental errors. You didn't see a bunch of misassignments, at least not a ton that showed up on film. He's under Shane Beamer at South Carolina. I think Shane Beamer's a good coach. You know, he's not Kirby Smart when it comes to defense. It's certainly not. I'm not saying that. But with all things equal, production-wise, conference-wise, 3-year starter-wise, I'm taking Nick Emmanwori all day, every day over a guy like Malachi Starks. Starks played on a really good defense with a lot of other talented players, just like Emmanwori. But he's 3 inches taller. He's 15 pounds bigger. He ran a 4.38. And he's shown just as good, if not better, coverage skills than a guy like Malachi Starks. So explain to me how Malachi Starks is considered a first-round lock, probably going to go in the top 16 picks. And you have Nick Emmanwori, who, if lucky to get drafted in the first round, looks to be somewhere between that 15 to 25 range. I don't understand. And maybe it's the Georgia bump, and I understand that. Georgia's a great program. They're a national championship caliber team. Kirby Smart is a defensive guru. I understand all that. But stop trying to be the smartest guy in the room. Stop trying to say, well, if this scenario happened and this scenario happened and this, okay, but it didn't. You have two guys, exact same production, exact same conference, pretty close to each other geographically as well. One's 6'4", 220. The other's 6', 6'1", about hovering around 200 pounds. And I like Malachi Starks. I think Malachi Starks is worthy of a first-round pick. But somebody in that mid to late teens, if they take a chance on Nick Emmanwori, I think he's an immediate starter because I think he's got the size to do it. I just talked about his smartness on the football field. He doesn't have a bunch of mental lapses, and we know the athletic abilities there. He's the most physically gifted safety to ever come into the NFL Combine. I mean, that's not an exaggeration. That's not hyperbole by me. The NFL Combine says so because of all the numbers that I just broke down earlier. He can come up and make tackles. He's good in space. He's a sure tackler in space. Doesn't miss a lot of tackles out there. 6 interceptions in his career. 2 of those, he had 4 of them last year. 2 of those returned all the way for touchdowns. He could just do a lot for you on defense. And he's got the size to play some nickel, some linebacker, that box safety. You could move him in multiple spots. I think if you're getting a Nick Emmanwori, look, you're drafting him in the first round, obviously hoping he's a Pro Bowl caliber player and all-pro safety, right? Obviously, that's not always the case. But I think if you're looking for a guy when you need a safety or someone in your defense to make an impact, there's very few players that are safer than Nick Emmanwori because of his speed, because of his size, because of his athleticism. And that's why, in my opinion, in 2025, he might be the steal of the first round, if not early second round, in the early rounds of this NFL draft. Keep an eye out for Nick Emmanwori. He's a guy that I'm going to be watching closely, and I think he's going to make some noise early in the NFL as a rookie this upcoming season. All right, that's going to do it for this episode of the Huddle Up Podcast. If you like anything you heard there, please like, subscribe, comment. Love to interact with all the viewers and the listeners. Next time, I'm going to break down the wide receiver position in the NFL draft because it's one of my favorites. We've talked about the depth of the running back position. I think this wide receiver class, it's pretty deep as well. It's not just 2 or 3 guys there at the top. That's coming up on the next time here on the next edition of the Huddle Up Podcast.